Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron here, New Life Pentecostal Church, Albany, Georgia. This is just a small sampling of the great books of the Western world. I've purchased these over the years, mainly from eBay, like really inexpensive. You can really get fantastic deals, like 11 volumes for $20 sometimes, stuff like that. And it's 54 volumes. This was done by Mortimer Adler, and it's kind of like a sister companion to the Harvard Classics, which I really like. I've done a review on the Harvard Classics. And this is now 60 volumes. It used to be 54 volumes, and that's what these brown covers are. In 1990, they updated it with these. So I just decided to bring a sampling of what's out there. And, you know, this is known as the Western Canon, Allen Bloom, classical education. There's actually entire college courses and universities built on the great books. And Adler, I mean, I think he had this journey from atheism to Christianity just on the logical progression of, you know, from Greece to here, you know, from Athens to Washington, D.C. kind of thing. So I've pulled it up on the internet, let you see what's in. We'll pull up the first 54 volumes, and then I'm in the middle of getting the next. We'll start here with volume 1, and then we'll just open these up and let you take a look on the inside of them. I have not read all 60 volumes, and I'm 52, and I'm a preacher, and I'm really busy, and I probably never will, but I would really like to. But there's so much stuff to do. There's only one lifetime. This is like a huge tragedy. But then you get to live forever. And then when you see Jesus, you'll be like him, and you'll know everything, so you won't have to read then. So you can just see. Now, I like to interact a lot with thinking and thinkers, and it's benefited me, I'll just tell you, to be sold out on apostolic New Testament Christianity, but still look at the different thinking processes that people have, and different viewpoints, different places. So like I learn a lot like listening to liberals. My brother's a huge liberal, and he's got Common Dreams, Tom Hartman, and people who interact on this YouTube channel. A lot of atheists and liberals interact on here. And, I have to say, they've challenged my thinking. It really helps. Paul, he would talk to the people at Mars Hill, Athens, but always bring it back to the gospel of Jesus Christ. The commonality that binds us is we've all got one creator, we're on one planet, we've got one set of DNA in our system, especially now that that new study from Switzerland and Rockefeller University, a secular study, saying that all mankind goes back just a few thousand years, not that evolution didn't happen. Now, it didn't get a lot of publicity, but that study's out there. So I've wondered how they're going to get around that. So you can see it's in fairly chronological order. And the unfortunate thing is you have to make choices, and there's certain people that maybe were equal thinkers or even superior thinkers, and their works didn't get out and didn't have the impact on society as certain other works did. So, prayerfully, I try to pray before I read any book. I just don't read books that I want to read for pleasure. I want them to have a purpose. I think I hit something. I hit Miguel de Cervantes, and so we've been looking at that. But you got John Milton. He was a good non-Trinitarian, blind. What was it he wrote? Something about Areopagus, but that's not it. Freedom of speech. Of course, Paradise Lost, Paradise Found. I was talking to an apostolic. He said he was weeping reading Paradise Lost, Paradise Found. So before I got so tied up doing some editing on some projects that I'm involved with, I was reading it and I'm like, I hadn't found those spots that made me cry yet, but there's some good spots in there. And so this is the second edition. So I'm in the middle of collecting the second edition. I'm lacking a few volumes. They're not real high, on my list. I only need about, 2 to 3 million volumes of things, and I don't have nearly the room for all that. So you just live for Jesus and trust Him, read the Bible, that's the deal. So there you go. I'm just very grateful for what I got. So let's take a quick look in some of these. I just grabbed these randomly off the desk. Oh, so you've got Immanuel Kant 1 and 2. I remember, who was it? My philosophy professor in a doctoral program I was enrolled in, and he said, you can agree with Kant or you can disagree with Kant, but you can't ignore Kant. I'm like, sure I can. I'll win the world and forget about Kant. But, his critique of pure reason and his categorical imperative and all that. So this is what it's going to look like on here. And it's fascinating to me, so I'm talking about what a bad guy Kant was, at Bible school one day, teaching a class, and he was so regular as far as the habits that he had. He would walk every day through Königsberg at 3 o'clock, past the same place, all this. And weirdly enough, those of you that are in the Illuminati and stuff, Adam Weishaupt vehemently wrote a lot of philosophical treatises after he moved to Saxe-Gotha against Kant. And George Washington actually spoke out against Kant, not by name, but by concept, when he said it's a dangerous thing to try to have morals without religion. Well, that was what Kant was trying to do. But so Kant is being rehabilitated in Christian homeschool circles as some type of Christian. And so I thought that was unusual. So then we have, of course, Gibbon's, the decline and fall of the Roman Empire. Let America take heed there. And Gibbon, you have to study, bad trees not going to produce good fruit. Gibbon, he was like a real atheist kind of guy. He was not just this great guy. He was trying to dethrone Christianity, but it was very dangerous to do back in those days. There was laws against those things. They had actually people who were censors that would look things over. And so that's like when you're reading David Hume, he's like this big Christian, then he writes a paragraph that's, it was just trying to get it through the censor. So let's who else got? Oh, we got Geoffrey Chaucer, who, of course, wrote the Canterbury Tales. And he said that every second person you met on the road was a Lollard, who was, Lollard means babbler. A lot of people think that means a tongue speaker. There in the 1300s, classic Middle English, which is what the Wycliffe Bible would have been written in. So, Geoffrey Chaucer. I remember reading the Canterbury Tales in high school. I appreciated my high school teacher doing it. Ooh, Dante. Now, Dante Alighieri, he was also, I think, nonconformist Italian. I've been reading the Inferno and the Divine Comedy and all this. One of the things that I found so fascinating, like here's Purgatio, with Dante, is the number of people that he took as common knowledge I'd never heard of. Like I just had to keep my iPad or iPhone out and look these people up. I mean, it's real nice. It's gilt edging here. And I say gilt, it's really gold edging. It's not art gilt. Ooh, and here's Dante. So I just pulled out 2 Dantes. These would be the same. And so, of the modern editions, they've just made some replacements, Erasmus, different things like that. So, The Great Books of the Western World. Now, you can buy those still brand new from like the Encyclopedia Britannica thing, and they're like over $2,000, and you can get payment plans for $100 a month for a couple years, and or you can buy them like dirt cheap on eBay, which is what yours truly does. So, okay, so here's some of the things they added since the first one. Like Virginia Woolf, To the Lighthouse, Franz Kafka. That's where you get the term Kafkaesque, you know. Metamorphosis, D.H. Lawrence, who's rather risque, but Lawrence of Arabia. T.S. Eliot, The Wasteland. A lot of Christians like T.S. Eliot. Eugene O'Neill, Morning Becomes Electra. Morning is, but I've heard of that. I have no idea what it is. The Great Gatsby by Fitzgerald. Faulkner, A Rose for Emily. Faulkner's just so raw, man. Bertolt Brecht, who I have no idea who that is. Ernest Hemingway, who, like, I like reading about Hemingway's writing habits. Animal Farm, which I've read a bunch, by George Orwell. Samuel Beckett, Waiting for Godot, not Gail Godot. Henry James, The Beast in the Jungle. Henry James, back in the 1870s, writing about people speaking in tongues. To me, that's a little bit unexplored area. Pentecostalism. George Bernard Shaw, Socialist, Atheist. Joseph Conrad, Chekhov. Marcel Proust, how about that? James Joyce, Fraser, Weber, Johann Huizinga, I've never heard of that. Claude Levi-Strauss, heard of him. Structural Anthropology, Selections. John Maynard Keynes, which Murray Rothbard's got one of the greatest takedowns of Keynes that you'd ever read, because Keynes thought he could do anything anywhere, and he thought economics was the same thing. So, and that's unfortunately the philosophy of Keynesian economics, which is destroying the world. So, talk with you later. Great books. God bless. Bye.